Okay. All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I wanted to cover this article that I was reading through this morning on zerohedge.com, and it's titled, let me get it real quick. It's only going to get worse. Irish teen delivers passionate warning against mass immigration. Now, um, as I was reading this article, I pretty much read the entirety of it. But what I'll do is I'll show the series of clips in here, um, showing, pretty much the sentiment of the title of this lesson. Now, what you basically have going on is like an epidemic of sexual assaults, mainly on women, all right, of grapes, of young women, 12 years old, 16 years old, 10 years old. And what's happening is, primarily here, you're seeing what this article covers is countries in Europe, but you also have these things happening in the US. But what you see going on is, after letting all these migrants into the various different countries, now they're starting to cause more trouble. However, they're the rulers of those certain areas are sort of just like, letting it slide and sweeping it under the rug, which I think is to make the people desperate. Now, one of the cases which I think it's in this article is highlighted is, there was a 16-year-old girl that got raped, and the they said that they weren't going to deport, was the court or whatever, they said they would not deport the migrant who did it. And the reasoning was that the assault didn't last long enough, they said. As crazy as it sounds, I'm not making it up. They said it didn't last long enough, or it wasn't severe enough to warrant his deportation. Okay. And you had another case where I think there was one who I think he assaulted or aped took a 12-year-old in a public restroom. They said this guy didn't even get jail time. They just gave him they just had him go to some and awareness talks. That's what they got. That's what they're doing over there in Europe. And so now it's getting to the point where, as you'll see in the video, women are saying that they're afraid to leave their house. And women are talking about they're afraid to leave their car. They're afraid to go outside. They're afraid to take public transportation. They're pretty much afraid to go anywhere without somebody with them. And now you even have it to the point where women are dressing, if they have a skirt on or a dress on, before they get on the train, they'll put on like a long shirt, or they'll layer up or wear pants to avoid, that kind of attention, because that's how bad it's gotten over there. And they're seeing that nothing is really being done about it on their behalf. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention was, there was another video I saw where it's not in this article, but you had a woman recording this Uber driver, and he looked like he was from another country, like maybe like Pakistan or somewhere in the east. And what he told her was, if they were in his country, he would have basically taken her right then and there, because he found her attractive, but that's the only way he could get his hands on her. Right? I would take. And so, it's showing you that over there, like in some of these countries, right, in different African countries and different countries that these migrants are coming from, it's not the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal as it is here when they do stuff like that, right? Because in those areas, if it's a third world country, for example, they may not have as stringent and strict measures like they do in a country like here, or in the West, or in some European countries, to where it stops or reduces the count of these assaults. Over there, if a woman is by herself and a dude sees her in the street somewhere, he just takes her. that's the end of that, unless it's like so extreme that the whole village or whatnot tries to go after him. But in most cases, that doesn't happen, or in some cases, that's not the case. So when they come to these different countries, these European countries, and they're like, "Yo, this is fine shit," they in their minds, they're just gonna go ahead and take it, and you'll see it. I'll play the videos, and you'll see it. Yeah, this guy talking about he has needs. He has basically sexual needs, and he needs it satisfied. So he sees this woman, and he wants her to satisfy it. And he's not taking no for an answer. He's basically saying if the government can't satisfy their needs for him as a man, then they're useless. So they're at the point where they're ready. They're ready to do whatever it is they want to do because there are no consequences happening for them. All right, barely any. So to start off, I'm gonna read this real quick before we get into the article. It's Isaiah chapter 32, verse 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. See, so a man, as women are starting to realize hard way, is gonna be that protection, right? A strong man is gonna be that protection, for them. Because I'm telling you, man, let me just go ahead and get into the videos. Point is, they don't care. All right. So it says here 15-year-old Irish girl, Caden McKenna, an active boxer in her hometown of Castle Blaney, delivered a moving speech against mass immigration earlier this week. In the video, she describes her fear of taking public transportation and simply going for a jog in her hometown, all due to rising immigration and the presence of migration centers in her area. As a young person, especially a young girl, I feel more unsafe now than ever. After a few scary encounters, I can't even walk alone to the bus anymore, says McKenna. So I'm not gonna play this video because it's pretty much what I just said over here, and it's just her reading off of a card and saying this. So there's nothing really significant here. But the ones that come after are the interesting ones, right? This is one, for example, where a woman, I'll read it here. It says here, this has happened about 3 times in the last 2 weeks. It's very, very intimidating. An Irish woman is too afraid to leave her car to walk to work because hooded migrants are lurking outside her workplace and staring at her. And I will say that there, some of these videos or whatnot that are being done are organic, in my opinion. Some could be inorganic, but the perspective or the narrative it supports in pushing out this content is the bigger picture over here, right? And in a lot of countries, they're starting to see and say, hey, you know, how is it that a migrant can burn a woman on a train and like everything is all good, or they can murder and assault and kill and rape and do all these things, and it's just like swept under the rug. And it almost reminds you of the first Purge, right? Where in the movie, the first Purge, how they wanted to cause chaos. Right? They were looking for a means to turn the people violent for the whole concept of the purge, and the people just weren't cutting it. So they had to find other means to get that reaction they wanted. Well, if you look at majority of these, citizens, yeah, every so often you'll have somebody that like, does something wild, but there's a reason why they have to stage a good amount of these events, right? These crazy events, because normal people won't just get up and go and do that. However, when you open up your borders and let anybody come into a place like this, some paid actors, some hired, some just organic, who are just coming in their minds, this is fresh meat. If they see fine shit that they know they don't see in their country, they're gonna take it, right? Because what's gonna stop them? So that is now creating the environment of hostility that they wanted, but that the regular citizens wouldn't give them. So now, by adding a bit of fuel to the fire, you can really get things sparking. So let's go ahead and play this.
I'm currently sitting in my car and I'm waiting to get out. This has happened to me probably about 3 times in the last 2 weeks, where I've pulled up outside where I work, and there's a group of males lurking around, and I really don't feel like I want to get out of the car. And now, because it's my third time, I think they kind of like, maybe like they know that they've seen me here before, so I feel like the stares are on me. I feel like, you know, when you know somebody's like staring at you, and I just really don't want to get out of the car. Like, obviously I don't speak their language, so, you know, I can hear them all speaking at each other. I have no idea what they're saying. It could be normal, how are you kind of stuff as well, but it's very, very intimidating. They're not really dressed great. Like, they're dressed kind of like, you know, hoods up and stuff like that, a little bit like kind of intimidating. So I just don't really feel comfortable getting out of the car, and they don't look like they're up to any good, to be honest. And I'm not judging at all, but they're very, very loud. I don't know if you can hear them here in the background, but they're quite loud, and just, yeah, I'm not getting out of the car, and I'm going to be late for work now again by about 10 minutes because I'm not walking over to my workplace. First of all, I don't feel comfortable with them even seeing where my workplace is, but this is just not okay. It's not okay. And I think I am a very easygoing person. I'm very open-minded, but can they just not lurk around the streets? Please, can they not lurk around the streets? And even if they are absolutely fine and they're not up to any good, you can't do that. You can't intimidate people like that by staring at them and looking at them like that. And I'm actually very glad that I'm recording this right now, because they're getting closer and closer to my car.
Yeah, so there's that. Let's get some more. So here's another one here, and you know, you know, as I play the videos, you'll see as they get more and more intense. Yeah, it says here, I can no longer go out alone. I need a bodyguard. A German woman is sexually harassed in Bad Durenberg. This happens to me so often. I have contact with people like that every day when I go out. Really, there was a time when you could even go out at night. Now they're scared to go out in the day.
Verpiss dich! Kannst du weggehen? Doch.
Now, we don't know how long, you know, he was following her or whatever before she started recording, but as he said, no, right? She said, can they leave? He said, no. So it's daytime. She's recording, but all it takes is, you know, a slight change of setting, and that's it.
Verpiss dich!
Hallo, lass uns mal besprechen, was da eben gerade in dem Video passiert ist. Der hat auf jeden Fall ein Statement darüber, weil ich bin Schock. Ich bin einfach Schock. Das war 10 Minuten von mir zu Hause entfernt, nicht mal. Ja, und ich werde random einfach von einem Typen auf dem Fahrrad verfolgt. Was ist hier los? Was passiert? Ja, man kann das nicht verstehen. Nur weil ich das zum Beispiel anhabe, gibt es nicht das Recht, mich zu verfolgen, mich anzugehen, mich zu bedrängen.
Yeah, but that's precisely the reason why, right? When you dress like that, you know, they're gonna see that, and they're gonna want food. They're gonna get hungry. They're gonna grow an appetite. And if they know that nobody's gonna do anything to them, well.
Oder sonst irgendetwas. Ja, ich verstehe nicht, wie du einfach in deinem Fahrrad neben mir stehen kannst und mich verfolgen kannst. Ich sag dir noch, du sollst gehen, du sagst einfach, nö. Bei Gott, du kannst froh sein, dass ich nicht alleine war. Bei Gott, wirklich. Und ich hoffe, dass dieses Video so viral geht, dass irgendwer, der dich kennt, das sieht und fragt, wow, Bruder, was hast du da geleistet? Ja, schämen solltest du dich. Wirklich. Ja, eine Frau so zu bedrängen, ist nicht cool. Das ist so widerlich und abartig, ne? Wirklich jetzt. Was ist in unserer Welt passiert? Was ist los? Wirklich. Es gab eine Zeit, da konntest du sogar nachts raus. Nicht mal das mache ich mehr. Soll ich tagsüber...
You see that? I don't even do that anymore, referring to going out at night. Should I stay home during the day? Yeah, you're probably better off doing that.
Jetzt auch noch zu Hause bleiben. Ich gehe so wenig raus. Genau aus diesen Gründen. Das passiert mir so oft. Ich habe wirklich täglich, wenn ich rausgehen würde, Kontakt mit so Menschen. Wirklich, ist einfach so. Kann das nicht nachvollziehen. Wirklich, wer geht das nächste Mal jetzt mit mir raus? Ich kann nicht mehr alleine raus. Ich brauche jetzt Bodyguards. Wer will mein Bodyguard sein?
Now, that's it, 144. Hey, but now, Rita, keeping in mind that, you know, society still, you know, functions to some degree, right? You know, things are still going on. but it's progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And oftentimes reality doesn't hit people until it hits them close to home. And they're gonna find out the hard way. So yeah, especially here in Babylon, because you're gonna have dudes like this. Listen to what this guy says, right? I F women, I kill men. A Somalian migrant is confronted for harassing women in Britain. Listen to what he says. He's blatant about it.
Because you're scaring women, that's why.
You came up to me and said I look lonely, you weirdo. I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole.
And I kill men.
You kill men.
Yes. And if I want to kill, I kill them.
Oh, wow.
So what's your problem? What's your problem?
My problem is, I've had a report from a woman that you scared her. You're walking around. I saw you out with the women outside Primark as well. Why don't you go home, sir?
Why don't you go leave?
Because I'm not the one out here scaring women like you.
I'm Somalian.
Doesn't matter where you're from.
So, like I said, whether staged or organic, that's the energy, you could say, right, that is out there. And also also here, but it's going to get more and more prevalent because that comes with the setting of chaos. As things start to deteriorate, people start getting, society starts to descend into chaos. This is something that becomes, it's almost like freaking, I don't know, drinking water, right? That's how often it becomes. And women are going to realize the hard way that you need somebody to protect you. So here's one, right? It says, in quotes, I guess this was the migrant speaking. He said, your ass, boom. I saw it and I just had to speak to you. Let's have a date. Your man doesn't have to know. Just one kiss. She says, no, I'm with my children. Can you please leave me alone? So let's hear this.
Guck mal, ich bin hier mit meinen Kindern am Spazieren und ich werde einfach die ganze Zeit verfolgt von so einem Mann. Der ruft mich die ganze Zeit. So gruselig.
Entschuldigung, warten Sie mal kurz. Hallo. Ich wohne auch hier. Sind Sie hier neu in der Gegend?
Ja.
Sie wunderschön, Sie sehr, sehr schön.
Okay.
Sie wunderschön.
Dankeschön. Ich bin aber gerade am Spazieren mit meinen Kindern. Ich habe einen Mann. Wir würden hier auch gerne weiter spazieren.
Ich habe Sie gesehen von hinten.
Habe ich gemerkt.
Moment. Ich habe Sie gesehen von hinten. Sie boom hinten.
Okay. Habe ich gesehen. Was will ich denn?
Ich habe gesehen von hinten. Sie haben boom von hinten.
Okay, aber ich habe auch einen Mann.
Sehr schön.
Dankeschön.
Sie haben Mann? Sie haben Mann?
Ja, ich habe einen Mann.
Egal, Mann muss nicht wissen, ein Date haben.
Nein, danke.
Bleiben Sie stehen kurz.
Ich bin mit meinen Kindern.
Ich nur mit Ihnen rede, kurz wollen ein Date mit
Nein,
Ihnen,
ich möchte kein Date, dankeschön. Ich würde mich auch freuen, wenn Sie mich jetzt in Ruhe
Aber
lassen.
Sie magnifik, Sie sehr schöne Augen, schöne Nase und hinten bumm. Ich habe gesehen, ich muss reden mit dieser
Können Sie
Frau.
bitte gehen?
Bitte.
Können Sie bitte einfach gehen und mich in Ruhe lassen? Dankeschön.
Aber ein Kuss bitte.
Bitte.
So, once again, these are, I'm just playing the clips, so there you got this guy over here. He's just blatant about it. All right, he's just blatant about it. Now, the important pattern to note is, when you have a gradual heading into a certain direction, in the beginning, right? In these, I'm sure you had cases where situations like this happened, but not as common and not as so frequent. Okay, that, well, like I'm going to read this part here, but it's not as frequent as to where now it's become like an everyday thing. It's become such a major problem that this is what you see going on. This is like the new norm of some of these neighborhoods, right? And it goes from not as bad to now it's very bad to now, instead of them like approaching you and you just barely, women are just barely getting these men to like back off. And that's if another man like pulls up, or if he sees the chick recording and he's just like, all right, you know what, let me just chill. But soon it won't be that case, right? What happens when the internet goes out, or there's no service, or there's no power? You don't have, because right now, like, they'll tell you, oh, she's recording for her safety, because somebody else can see it, or she's on the phone with somebody so they can hear it. But when you're by yourself or you don't have that, that's when it's, basically is all hell breaking loose at that point. So these women better drop, stop, drop, and roll. You better drop that attitude and go look for a man of the Lord. Okay, because if not, you're going to become a victim just like these. Because them dudes out there, they don't care. Anyway, it says many European parks are no longer safe, with women not only being sexually harassed, as seen in the video below, but also increasingly victims of sex crimes, often in headline-grabbing nightmare stories. In some cases, these crimes do not just involve, rap. I got to find a name for this because I don't know how the algorithms pick it up. But also murder. Okay, so in some cases, it's not just they're not just taking you; they taking you and then sending you back to the spirit world, express shipping. It says here, so this is the guy, right? This guy right here, and these are his words. He said, yeah, "This is crazy." He said, "If I don't have sex as a man, I feel unwell." Shocking footage of a migrant in Germany harassing a woman walking through. Not even going to attempt to pronounce that name, but you can see the location. Anlag, in Frankfurt. He refuses to take no for an answer when he demands sex, and a passerby steps in and calls the police. So yeah, he wasn't trying to hear that.
Bist du belästigt?
Belästige dich nicht.
Ja, doch.
Ich habe Bedürfnisse.
Ja.
Ich habe Bedürfnisse. Und meine Bedürfnisse sind mir sehr wichtig.
Ja, aber
Wenn
du
jeder
kannst
immer zu mir
trotzdem
Nein
nicht über
sagt,
meinen Kopf hinweg
jeder
entscheiden.
nicht immer Nein sagt. Okay? Dann muss man irgendwann für sein Überleben einsetzen.
Der Herr hat mich gerade darüber aufgeklärt.
Ein und sie nervt mich.
Er will mit mir schlafen, hat er mir gerade erklärt.
Ja, du willst auch mit dir schlafen, aber ich bin als erstes hier.
Komm, lass mich in Ruhe.
Kannst du bitte sie in Ruhe lassen? Oder ich rufe die Polizei. Ruf sie doch an. Warum machst du selber nichts? Du bist auch ein Mann. Ich rufe die Polizei. Mach doch. Mach doch. Bitte gehen Sie jetzt. Wir brauchen hier kein großes... Ich glaube, ich bin bereit, für mein Überleben Ärger einzusetzen. Du anstellen nicht. Für mein Überleben. Hallo, ja, Sex ist Überleben. Ich bin hier gerade in der Nähe von Eschenheimer Frau und ein Mann belästigt hier eine Frau. Ich belästige niemanden, ich werde belästigt.
Das ist fein, ja.
Okay? Ich will einfach nur Liebe, ich will Liebe und Zuneigung, aber es wird mir jetzt nicht gegeben. Ich muss für mein Überleben kämpfen. Wenn das Gesetz dem Überleben nicht dient, dann bringt das Gesetz nichts mehr.
Dein Überleben hängt nicht dran, dass du mit mir schläfst, wirklich nicht.
Natürlich.
Natürlich nicht.
Doch, wenn ich keinen Sex habe als Mann, dann fühle ich mich nicht gut.
Hallo, Entschuldigung, ich bin hier an der Eschenheimer Anlage und ein Mann will eine Frau...
Jo, willst du, dass ich nochmal wiederhole?
Und wir brauchen hier Unterstützung.
Am Fein, an der Eschenheimer Anlage.
Ich werde nichts tun.
Wissen Sie genau
das Fein, das ist das Fein. Trinkhalle Fein.
Ich werde nichts tun. Trinkhalle Fein. Aber ich bin bereit, für mein Überleben mich einzusetzen. Trinkhalle...
Fein, F-E-I-N.
Trinkhalle Fein. Trinkhalle Fein. Ja, in der Nähe von Trinkhalle Fein.
Ehrlich gesagt, du bist eigentlich schon...
das ist
so unattraktiv für euch
ja,
eigentlich.
das freut mich.
In einer Kreuzung gerade hier. Das ist Eschenheimer Anlage 20.
So, as you can see right there, he wasn't taking no for an answer, right? He wasn't trying to hear no. And just like the guy, right, the Somalian guy said, right, he said, he F's women and he kills men. So in that time, if you don't have the Spirit of the Lord with you, or if you by yourself and the Lord does not have mercy on you, it's going to be a rough time. All right, a rough time. It says here, there have always been sexual predators in every society, but statistics from every country that has embraced mass immigration in the West tell the same story. Sexual violence is growing worse and worse. While some may find McKenna's worries about going for a jog overblown, going for a jog for many women in certain areas can mean harassment. In many cases, it has ended in disaster, as seen here, and here. Those are all links to, I guess, different events of the disaster that was referred to over here. All right, one here, which I'm not going to play this video, but I'll just read it here. It says, female joggers in France face wave of grape and knife attacks in recent months. A 44-year-old woman was stabbed several times in her back and neck while she was jogging in Gard. The suspect is still on the run. So you can see, just like I just read in that excerpt, the places that embraced that immigration, they're now facing this wave. And like I said, it was all systematic. Okay, they needed a problem, and this was a perfect solution to that. Yeah, this is the one that I was mentioning before, right? It says just earlier this week, Swedish 17-year-old girl Maya Berg spoke about her rape at the hands of an Eritrean migrant when she was 16, while on her way home from work at McDonald's. Her case sparked outrage on social media after it was revealed that the migrant would not be deported because, among other factors, the rape's duration was not long enough, according to a Swedish appeals court. And in this video, she just basically talks about, I'm not going to play it. She just talks about how tragic it was for her and so on. But it's nothing more than what I just read basically here. But I want to find the statement that they gave. Yeah, it says here, she's just one of many horror stories out of Sweden, including the heartbreak case of Luna, who still remains in a coma after being nearly strangled to death by an African migrant who attended her own school and has a history of violence and watching graphic strangulation videos on school computers. These are not just isolated instances, but instead they are broad trend lines and statistics showcasing the rising threat across Europe. Approximately 75% of gang rapes in the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia are by those who are foreign or have a migrant background. And at least half of gang rapes on a national level are committed by foreigners. Sexual violence is also increasingly common in German swimming pools, with young girls most likely to be victimized. So, as we've been warning you, that time is here. All right, people, this is an everyday life for people, and they're actually genuinely afraid. Okay, and wait till it gets to the point where you can't go outside because you are genuinely afraid, and you're gonna be like, yo, damn, like. I remember once upon a time, I was hearing and, brothers were doing videos on this. Now it's your reality, where you got to run and hide in your car and lock it and hope and pray. Yeah, it's going to get real bad out here. Now, yeah, once again, this is just another narrating video, but the point of this video was, it says here, thief stole a young German woman's phone and then tells her in a mixture of English and German that he would only give it to her if she laid with him. And long story short, she explains the naivety, right? She ended up escaping it, but she explains the naivety of wanting to just pass time in a park. She leaves her phone next to her. Dude comes, takes it, runs away. She chases him into the bushes, bruh. And that's when he basically grabs her and the phone and then makes his demands. She says apparently she prayed to God and out loud, and then he just let her go. But yeah, this is the dangerous reality of women in Europe, okay, and really around the world, soon to be primarily here in Babylon. So now this was an interesting video, right? Let me actually play it, but I'll read this part here. It says, young German woman explains why voters are turning to the AFD. Now, I don't know too much about that, but I assume that's like another, like how you have the Democrats and the Republicans over here. Let me see, Germany, AFD. Okay, it says here, yeah, Alternative for Germany. It's a political party. So she says, yeah, I'm afraid to travel by train, afraid to go into town, afraid to do anything in public. And they talk about people being afraid of the AFD. Let's play it.
Ich überlege jetzt ernsthaft, weil sie gegen das Zustromsbegrenzungsgesetz gestimmt haben, also die Mehrheit, und das nicht zustande kommt, die AfD zu wählen. Einfach nur, weil ich Angst habe, Bahn zu fahren, Angst habe, in die Stadt zu gehen, Angst habe, irgendwas noch in der Öffentlichkeit zu machen. Und die reden davon, dass Leute Angst vor der AfD haben. Die AfD hat niemandem was getan, im Gegensatz zu anderen Menschen. Und die die Flüchtlingskrise, das ist unkontrollierte Migration, geht schief. Und ich sage euch, die AfD wird bei der nächsten Wahl noch mehr Prozente bekommen. Genauso viele Leute wird es geben, die genauso denken jetzt wie ich und ich überlege, ob ich AfD wählen soll, obwohl ich eigentlich BSW wählen wollte, weil ich nicht mehr klarkomme. Wie könnt ihr diese Probleme in diesem Land so verharmlosen? Achso, und noch was. Und wenn das so weitergeht, dass die AfD die ganze Zeit ausgeschlossen wird, wird sie bei der übernächsten Bundestagswahl sich nochmal verdoppeln. Grüne und SPD und Linke checken einfach nicht, was sie heute damit getan haben. Dass ich überlege, AfD zu wählen, weil ich nicht mehr anders weiß, weil ich nicht weiß, was ich noch machen soll, weil ich Angst habe, in die Stadt zu gehen. Und dann reden sie davon, dass es...
So she said she's afraid to go into the city, and basically it sounds like what Americans saw right before voting in Trump, where they were basically saying like the Democrats have ruined the city. You know, they've opened the borders, they've let these people in, they've done this, and you see how it all led to this division, right? And now they were like, yo, you got to put Trump in there so he can fix it, he can clean it back up, and now he's quote unquote cleaning it back up, but people are like, nah, we don't want that. So the point of this video is you can see how by creating that systemic problem of now making the city unsafe, you sort of drive people into one direction, whatever direction it is that will fix this problem, right? That will give them their freedoms back, their safety, so they can now go to the store, go to the city, and so on and so forth. Well, let's think about it. If you have crime that you're letting go unchecked, how different is that than making an announcement and saying all crime is legal for 12 hours? You know, instead of saying that, you're just, well, you know, if it happens, we'll see, but we might not do much about it. And that's sort of the environment that they're creating. And we know, according to prophecy, it's only going to, you know, increase more and more and more. And if you've been paying attention over the years and watching, you'll see just how the world, right, not just in America, but how the world is descending into this time of great trouble, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And now people are crying out, all right, but unfortunately, it's only for you know, people that are without, it's only going to get worse. You know, this isn't something that you cry and then it gets fixed. In fact, this is far from it.
Leute gibt, die so sehr Angst vor der AfD haben, dass sie nicht schlafen können. Verarschen kann ich mich selber, wirklich. Was haltet ihr davon? Schreibt doch gerne in die Kommentare und folgt mir für mehr Aktuelles.
Yep. Yeah, you had this guy. It says here, it seems he's looking for prey. Serial groper, Tunisian migrant Nidhal O sexually assaulted 3 different women in the Paris metro, all on camera. And this guy, he was like a video game character trying to complete a mission. He's just out, you know, on the prowl, just searching. He was arrested in December 2023 and was finally sentenced to 11 years in prison on September 26.
Il se fait remarquer une première fois dans cet escalator. Sans raison apparente, il bouscule.
So this is him right there. And that's his first victim.
Violemment une passagère. Puis continue son chemin. Quelques minutes plus tard, il en bouscule une deuxième et monte dans une rame. Pendant 1 heure, les enregistrements vont perdre sa trace. On le retrouve ici, dans une station desservant les Champs-Élysées.
And that's him right there. And now he's going after, I guess she made the wrong move bending over while he was around.
Là, sur le quai, au milieu des autres passagers, il agresse sexuellement une femme. Et sa traque perverse ne va pas s'arrêter là. Il erre dans les couloirs de la station pendant de longues minutes. Il semble chercher sa proie.
So yeah, he's just going around, you know, looking for victims. right? And that's just hey, that's just that, you know. So it's crazy, but that's the reality, you know. That's the reality, and people are genuinely, well, as it says here, women are resorting to different methods to deal with this, right? Whether it's avoiding certain areas at night or simply avoiding going out entirely. Many are also using their smartphones as a method of self-defense. Now, what's interesting about this is we've been telling you this. But you know what? Women get mad at men when they say these things, or other women when they say these things about, you know, don't dress a certain way, don't go out at a certain time, don't go into certain areas, because the argument, oh, well, you know, it's my body, it's my freedom, I should be able to do this. And okay, but the reality of the situation is you can't. Because if you do, then you're going to meet the serial groper over there waiting around the corner. Then what? Then who's to blame? Yeah, you want a certain situation, but that solution won't work because that's not how the world works. Okay? You put your hand in fire, it burns you. That's just how it works. You don't like the burn, the only way is don't put your hand in there. You can't say, well, I want to put my hand wherever I want to put it. It's my hand, and I'm going to put it even if it's in fire and expect not to be burned. That's not how it works. Okay, so if this is the reality of the situation, you ought to be wiser and adapt and avoid these kinds of cases. And now, as they're getting ready to cut these benefits, we're going to see how that goes, you know, but as they continue to put the squeeze upon people, it's only going to make them more desperate, right? Yahweh Shai mentioned the love of many waxing cold, right? Iniquity abounding because of anarchy. So don't think that, you know, it's a crazy thing for people to be getting attacked, right? For their groceries, you know, people to begin their you know, you could be in a car and dudes break right into that car. Okay. So this ain't a joke out here. This is real life. I'm not gonna play this one. It's not really significant. Let's see. Yeah, this is an interesting one here. As it says, many young women in France have a subway shirt for avoiding harassment on the train system. It has become a reflex to put on more clothing before getting on public transport, even in summer. Sometimes, quote unquote, I even take the trousers and sweatshirt and put them over my, well, let's hear this.
Un geste presque devenu un réflexe pour cette jeune fille, enfiler une veste juste avant de monter dans la rame.
On retrouve de tout un peu dans le métro, donc forcément avoir une chemise c'est quand même plus rassurant, je pense.
Dans les transports en commun, près de 90% des femmes affirment avoir déjà été victimes de harcèlement. Alors pour tenter d'échapper à ces regards ou gestes déplacés, une technique est mise en avant sur les réseaux sociaux.
Don't forget your subway shirt.
Le subway shirt, en français, chemise de métro. Le principe, porter des vêtements amples pour cacher une tenue estivale.
Je fais comme ça, hop.
Dans le métro.
Dans le métro, on se rhabille. Des fois, je prends même le pantalon et le sweat que je mets par-dessus ma robe.
Une défense adoptée par de nombreuses Parisiennes, victimes de mauvaises expériences.
On m'a déjà jeté des pièces comme quoi j'étais une prostituée. J'étais en petite jupe au-dessus du genou et un t-shirt basique un peu comme celui-là.
Cette mère de famille rencontrée dans le métro donne même des consignes à sa fille qui ne connaît pas Paris.
D'éviter une jupe trop courte, plutôt, je dis pas forcément un pull comme elle a là, mais de se mettre une petite manche.
Juste à côté de nous, une jeune femme tente de faire de la résistance, mais nous avoue que ce n'est pas évident.
Je vais pas me priver de me mettre en tenue d'été s'il fait chaud, mais je vais flipper forcément.
À l'intérieur du métro et même dans la rue, aujourd'hui, une femme sur deux déclare renoncer à s'habiller comme elle le souhaite par crainte des regards et des...
She is given up on dressing how she wants or as she wishes for fear of stares and comments.
Commentaires.
So that's the thing. Reality is going to check you. They're going to go, and this is why, as Isaiah 4:1 is written, and as surprising as it may sound, you know, it's reality because people are going to be forced to adapt. Okay, whether you like it or not, you're going to be forced to adapt. And so going from I could dress however I want to finding out, okay, now you're being harassed, you're being touched, you know, now you going next time you out, if you can muster up the courage to be out, you're going to think twice about that, you know, I could dress however I want mindset, because you're going to meet Mr. Somalia, you know, over there talking about, you know, I F women and kill men. And he's going to say, well, hello. You know, thank you. I like women who think like you because you make my life easy. So, you know, now you got to be very wise and careful out here in these streets, you know, because these, like, the videos in this article are just a fraction, right, of the compilation of, you know, events that have just been recorded. But you have so much more events and situations and assaults that have taken place, that are taking place. There's probably some taking place as I'm speaking right now, all right, that are just not reported. And it isn't until you see it together like this, one after another, before you start to really like see the full picture of how bad things are really getting out here, you know, in the world. And the Lord did say that. Okay, the Lord mentioned that. It tells you in the book of Isaiah, right, the women that are at ease to rise up, right? Rise up, be careless women. Because all the benefits, all the you know, the luxury of life and the pleasant teats and all the you know, the spoiled behavior, all that is out the window. And a lot of men now, as you're seeing, are tired of it. You know, they've had it. They're like, yo, it's not. I saw a video of a dude, Jake, fed up, basically saying it's not worth it to be a provider to these women because you lose, you don't gain, you just lose and lose and lose. And once they suck you dry, they just move on. Okay, so the men that are supposed to be your guardians are now tired of your shit. And a lot of you women don't have a good track record. So what are you gonna, you know, what you gonna do when they come for you? And that's where you're gonna have your Isaiah 4-1s, because that's gonna be the forced reality upon them. Just like these women were indirectly forced to now dress differently, to now have to rethink the things that they wanted to do, to now have to consider not even going out at all, or definitely not being able to go out at night. They're gonna realize that, you know, it's not about what you want anymore. It's about what you have to do in order to survive. And that's the shocking reality that prophecy is going to bring. That is the actual reset that the Most High is going to bring. So anyway, just wanted to go into that. I found it pretty interesting as I was reading through and watching those videos, showing you that above just the content you're seeing, the mindset and the you know, the situation that's going on in the world right now, especially in places that have opened up their doors to have these migrants, you know, rush up in there, as they're pushing this narrative, and you're seeing it more and more. You know, don't be surprised as things continue to descend into more and more turmoil. Speaking of which, it says the Senate Democrats refuse to open the government for the 13th time. So buckle up. This is going to be a long ride. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.